So this week we begin the book of Shemot, or Exodus, and the narrative transitions from a family story to the formation of a people, of our people. Our great leader, Moshe, is born, and I want to pick up in the story when we see Moshe having fled Pharaoh in Midian, to Midian, and Moshe encounters the sneh, or burning bush. And it's this encounter where God shares with Moshe 3 words to mysteriously describe how God should be known by Moshe and the Israelites. Seeing the miraculous sight of the bush, Moshe turns away. He's seemingly afraid of what he might encounter or see. And even so, God begins to speak to Moshe and God tells Moshe of his assignment to fulfill God's desire to rescue the Israelites from Egypt and bring them to the land of milk and honey. Now, teeming with insecurity about this task, Moshe asks, "When I come to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your father's house has sent me,' and they ask me, 'What is the name? What is God's name? What shall I say to them?' God responds, 'Ehyeh asher ehyeh,' continuing, 'Thus shall you say to the Israelites, Ehyeh sent me to you.'" Now, this is a puzzling phrase, meaning something like, "I am what I am," or in a more literal translation, "To me, I will be what I will be." As Ehyeh is a word in the future tense, but it's a bit unclear how this phrase better illustrates to the Israelites and to us the nature of God. Now, rabbis for generations have wrestled with this phrase, and 14th century commentator Chizkuni wrote that the word Ehyeh is God saying that God is eternal or limitless, and that God will be with the Israelites always to redeem us from suffering. Adding a layer to that description, when learning with my teacher, Yiska Smith, this week, she taught that with this new name, God is telling us that our relationship with God is not that of our ancestors from Bereshit. In Bereshit, God appeared before our forefathers in various encounters, yet was directive, transcendent, and external. And now, she said, God is existing within each of us. The nature of God is seen through our own perception of God. And this new name gives us permission for our own relationship with God, one where God is always changing with us from one moment to the next. I will be what I will be. And no moment is ever the same. Then God tells Moshe that God's name for the Israelites going forward will be Yud-He Vav-He, God's name that we don't know exactly how to pronounce. These letters are almost the same as Ehyeh, and this new name changes the context of the Israelites' relationship with God, as I believe it encapsulates within God a being that is transcendent for all of us and residing inside each of us through our own relationship. God evolves with us, will always be with us, and it's on each of us to investigate what that relationship means for us. Now, I know for me that investigation comes through mindfulness, by using meditation techniques and exercise to quiet my mind, to listen, and to get to better know and understand myself. I am discovering how I can get nearer to the real, authentic me. And that inner self, I believe, allows me to get closer to God. And with that closeness, I have found that I can better understand my relationship with and what God's role is in my life. This relationship doesn't only impact my life, but I believe has a domino effect on those that surround me, to then do my part to reach the transcendent side of God that connects us all. Now, we live in this time of much pain and loss in Israel and Gaza, even here in our own community, from untimely death and illness to our own personal hardships. And each of us walked in here tonight carrying a different load on our shoulders, with joy and pain and suffering, sometimes all wrapped up in our backpacks. I imagine we're all walking in here too with a different relationship with God and a different view of God's role in our life and in the world. Maybe you're confused or struggling with this concept and question belief in God in general. Yet I believe our Torah here in Shemot is giving us permission to accept all of it, reminding us that God is always with us and constantly evolving alongside us. Shabbat gives us the space and opportunity to ask questions about how God can better evolve with us, starting with going inside and spending time with our inner selves. So what do you need from God this Shabbat? How can God guide you? How can God be with you? As we ask these questions, it is my prayer that God will hear our cries as the cries of the Israelites in Egypt were heard in our parashah and come nearer to each of us to walk toward the path of redemption. I want to close with some words from Rachel Goldberg, whose beloved son Hirsch is currently being held hostage in Gaza and has spoken out widely to keep Hirsch and all of the hostages at the front of mind. In an interview this week, Goldberg said each morning she wakes up, realizes she is still in this nightmare. Yet she immediately says, Modeh ani lefanecha, thanking God for restoring her soul back to her. Then she gets up and writes a sticker with the number of days Hirsch has been held captive on her shirt, which today is 91. Then she goes on her balcony and opens her siddur for shacharit. She said, a lot of times I am shouting at God in anger. Sometimes she offers psalms begging the question, how long am I going to suffer? Sometimes, she said, her prayer offers her the only peace she has all day. Ultimately, Goldberg said, I am not in a place where there can't be a God. There are days when I go into the room and sob on the floor in a fetal position, but I know that won't save Hirsch. So, she said she just walks forward to save Hirsch with God. Ehyeh asher ehyeh, God told Moshe, I will be what I will be. May we always feel God walking beside us, evolving with us, and guiding us through heartbreak and joy and everything in between. And on this Shabbat, I pray we each open up our hearts to who and what God can be in our lives, knowing and trusting that God will be with us in suffering through redemption. Can you hear Ratzon?